do the center now. I'm going to start with the very center, and I'm going to recess it a little bit farther. You remember back earlier I took the same large number 10 round carbide and sunk that in just a little bit just to give it some definition and relieve the wood so I could see the difference in level. What I'm going to do now is go a bit deeper. I'm going to drive this deeper in so this will be raised up even more. I'm going to do that with the number 10 carbide, and then I'm going to switch to that diamond football to do a little bit of detailing down straight in just to give it a different texture and look. For the center portion of this flower, I am just taking this large round carbide and pressing in larger divots. I'm keeping it fairly spread apart. You can make your divots tight, the stippling tight. You can make it very narrow, close together and overlapping. I'm keeping it pretty loose here. Once I get to the depth I want and establish the overall general look and flow of the piece, then I'm going to switch over right now to the straight carbide. I know before I said I was going to use the football diamond, but after looking at the impression that I got and the design that was established, I decided to go with something straighter that I could just press down into the wood. I kept it spread out, keep it very spread out and looking good at this point just to give it a unique texture. Right now with all of this, a lot of detail is established just by the texture that you add to it. And so this is the way I'm doing the center. You can always, of course, use whatever burrs you have available and come up with something that's unique, something that you like and that you enjoy. It's completely up to you. For the outside rim of this, I'm going to go ahead and use a little bit smaller carbide round, the number 9, to establish the texture, initial texture, and then I'll come back in with another taper or straight metal carbide and perhaps a diamond to give it the texture that I want. Using the smaller carbide makes it easier to create a different texture. Every burr is going to give you a different look and feel, and I want a complementary texture to the center that I just completed. To do this, I am using the smaller carbide round to do it. Now, when doing this, make sure you go all the way to the edge and over the edge. You want this to be one unified piece. It's one flower. There isn't one area and another area and another area. It's one flower. Right now, we're just carving it in stages. It makes it easier to follow a carving process, but we want to make sure that it looks like one flower when it's done. I'm keeping the spacing of this stippling farther apart than I did on the larger one because I want there to be actual areas that are at the same level as the initial carving area. Right now I'm switching over to kind of get the fuzzies out. After carving like that, there's a lot of little fuzzies sticking up from the wood that have been pulled up from carving and doing the spacing, and so I'm removing it with a Scotch-Brite wheel that I've attached to my flex shaft machine. You can always use a toothbrush. Get you a medium bristle or a hard bristle toothbrush and go in there and you can scrape off the fuzzies really easy without damaging the rest of the carving. Now for this part of the carving, what I wanted to do was establish, again, different texture. So I've got the straight carbide in the handpiece and I'm wiping it across all the stippling that I just did. I'm breaking it up, creating a unique texture. There's some areas that are smoother, some areas that are more bumpy, and I just want to make sure that as I do this, that I'm creating something that I like. That's the whole point of carving, right? Is to create something that we like, something that looks good in the end. And I'm going to go over this a couple times to get the look that I want, to create the texture that I want. And in between, you can always go in, remove the fuzzies as often as you need to. Don't worry about setting the handpiece down, taking a minute to get rid of the fuzzies. You have to be able to see the work that you're doing. Right now, I'm just looking at it, trying to determine how it looks in different light. I'm trying to get the cast shadows on the piece so I can see what I would like to do. I'm going to come back in now and just continue to detail it up. I really want to break up that edge between the center and the petals. I don't want there to be a large ledge right there, a shelf where it's one thing into a different. Yes, there are some separations that happen, but it needs to happen because of the texture and the detail, not because I left a ledge. So I'm going in, make sure I get it detailed on both sides, everywhere, so it looks good and uniform throughout. Okay, there we have it. Nice random texture for the center. See if I can get in here without blurring it too much. You can see that it's got several levels, and it's got a mishmash of different texture.